most important chord inversion on guitar, the one that the Beatles used, the one that Hendrix used, the one that we should all know is... It's the first inversion major chord. It looks like that. And the idea is that you can use it in replace of any major chord. So if we have this basic C chord, we could play it instead like that. In that case, it would be called C/E. But what does that mean exactly? It really just means that C is no longer on the bottom and that E is on the bottom, and so that's why it's called C/E. That E is so cool sounding in this case because it's the major third of the chord. And in my opinion, I think that the major third is the thing that gives a major chord the most color. After all, it is what makes it a major chord, right? Because otherwise it would be a different note. To make it C minor, it would be an E flat. So that would be a totally different chord. And why do they call it first inversion? Honestly, that's not that important to us guitar players, but basically what it means is instead of having the root on the bottom, they've taken the root, they've flipped it up to the top, so therefore what's underneath is the third. That is the coolest sounding inversion because ordinarily the chord would sound so rooted, obviously, with the root on the bottom. And now the chord just kind of floats. You could use it in replace of C, so just play C/E instead, or you could play one and then the other. That sounds very cool. Now we have a bit of movement going up. And it's just the same chord twice, right? It's still just a C chord. So if the song says C, you don't have to just play C. You can have a bit of movement by having the inversion in there as well. And it works anywhere you have this chord. So if we went up to the 4 chord of C, that's an F chord. There's an F chord there, but I could play the inversion instead. Or, again, like we did, I can play one and then the other. That was just C and F, but it sounds so much more complex having those inversions. It was really just C, C/E, and then F, F/A. Why A? Because A is the third, right? So the first inversion of an F chord would be F/A. You don't have to memorize those notes exactly. You mostly just need to memorize how to find them. And so whenever you've got this guy, it's always easy to find that guy. But let's take it a step further and do something a little more Beatles, like the song Don't Let Me Down. That is such a fantastic song, and that opening intro is incredible. It's actually quite simple using this inversion. And who played that intro anyway? I actually don't know. Was it George Harrison? Maybe. Was it John? It's kind of like that, right? Yes, I played it a little different on purpose there. But let's look at what's going on. Whenever we have this inversion, the major pentatonic scale is right there. It's right underneath, and it's the easy shape. So it's so simple. If we see pinky there, that's a C, right? So therefore, easy shape major pentatonic. And so whenever we're on this inversion, we can do these kinds of hammer-ons and pull-offs. From there, right? It's a lot like what I used to call the most useful lick, except in this case, we also need to be able to think of it as a chord and just use it as a chord and connect it to the scale when we want. So if that was C, then F works the same, right? Now what they do is they throw in a little sus4 on there too. It's hard to reach, but remember remember that the inversion has the third on the bottom, and so therefore the sus4 would be just one fret up. You can stretch it up, or you can hammer with your pinky, but you gotta be very careful not to get in the way of the next string, right? It's pretty tough. But it's such a nice resolve to have that sus4 to the C/E. If you're finding these videos useful, please hit that like button and subscribe so that you won't miss the next one. Let's try something a little more Jimi Hendrix. In The Wind Cries Mary, he does this kind of chromatic move, but using these same chord voicings. So let's see, if we did it in the key of C, sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? That's just like power chords, but here's the inversions right here that we're talking about. I'm just going up one fret by fret, and I'm ending up on the C/E in this case. Now, again, the song's in a different key, but you get the idea. Actually, it's just a really nice ending for something, right? Ending of a song, or even just ending of a section of a song is very nice. Again, you just gotta aim for what chord you're looking for. If we have an F chord, that's pretty cool actually, because the basic root position F chord is right there. Walking up to the first inversion F chord, F/A, is right there. That's a good lick. So whether you end with the Beatles style or with the Hendrix style, both are going to be pretty nice. We're going to have lots of tabs and exercises that will help you get good at this, all on our Patreon this week. But first, let's hear that whole demo and notice where I'm putting them in. Not just on the C and the F chord, but also the 5 chord, on the G chord. If you like that kind of Hendrix style, here's another video for you that explores lots of similar things in detail. My name is Blue Morris, and I teach guitar lessons right here in Vancouver and on Patreon, and of course right here in YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.